Story 1. AITA for telling my late wife's family about her infidelity. Should I expose it? Anna, my late wife, died in a car accident. A person lost control of their car and ran her over and she passed away immediately. We were both 26 at the time. It was 4 years ago, right before the pandemic. We were having a bad time as a couple. She was extremely jealous of me and also very protective of her phone. Shortly after her death, I found out I had a STD, and surprise, surprise, she was cheating on me. On the day she passed, a guy we went to college and was kind of friends with, sent her messages, asking for pictures of their last encounter and the way he talked. It seemed like it was recent, and it seemed that they talked often. I was able to get in her phone and laptop, as she didn't change her passwords because she would always ask to check my phone and I would ask for hers back, so I had the password. There wasn't much because she deleted everything or hid it very well, but the most recent messages, she obviously couldn't delete them, so everything that came after her death was still there. While looking for the pictures he asked for, I found pictures of her and him in a .rar deep in a random place at her work folders, on her laptop. In one of them she had short hair, which she only had right after we got engaged. So she was with him for at least 3 years out of our 6 years together. Also, I found pictures of 2 other guys, but I have no idea who they are and there were no messages from either of them anywhere. I messaged the friend, and told him that I knew, told him about the STD, and that I won't reveal it to anyone and want it to be kept a secret forever. I asked him if anyone else knew and he said that his ex knew, but he would talk to her. I decided that for the sake of her parents and siblings, I would pretend she was a great person and let them have their beautiful memories with her. Anna's older brother, Thomas, 34, is a good friend of mine to this day. I would even go as far to say we are best friends. After 2 years of my wife's passing, I was ready to date again. Thomas said that he knew the perfect girl for me. He just wanted me to be sure I was ready for something serious before introducing each other. It was his sister-in-law, Laura, female, 27. We knew each other only superficially, but never really talked before our first date. I fell for her quickly and hard. We started dating and about 3 months in we were already telling each other I love yous and I told her I was going to marry her. It has been a little less than 2 years. We are engaged, and I have never been this happy. I told her all about my relationship with Anna. I still have the evidence of what she did stored away in my computer just in case and I showed it to Laura. She cried a little and confronted me, but I assured her I was fine and that I was over it. The problem comes with Anna's family. Especially her mom and sister. Ever since Anna's passing, every time they talk about her, people want to hear me talk. They ask me about her, try to include me in conversations about her. Anna was such a good cook, right? My name? I loved when she and my name would banter, you remember my name? Stuff like this. I was able to get by in the beginning by saying it was difficult for me to talk about her, that I was not ready. They let me be for a while, but ever since I started dating Laura, I couldn't use the I'm not ready excuse. Her friends, sister and mom get annoyed if I don't sound enthusiastic or depressed, learned that it's easier to look depressed. Also, if I talk about Anna in any way that isn't portraying her as an angel that came down to earth to bless us with her presence, I get side-eyed. Thankfully Thomas and her father are great guys and don't push me too hard on this. Her dad is always thankful that I attend their family gatherings, as we like to talk about our field of work. He always says he considers me a son. Her mom and sister though, they get pissy if I try to dodge the topic of Anna and the sister even said it out loud once that it's obvious that I didn't love Anna. She apologized after, but I mean, she wasn't wrong. By the end I didn't, and sure as hell don't now. Look, I'm over what happened. I don't feel hate for Anna anymore. I sometimes catch myself wishing she was alive just so I didn't have to pretend anymore, but also because her death was a tragedy. A lot of people loved her. Her friends organize a reunion for her birthday and those are incredibly hard, and even though I know her AP will be there, I go because I know how much she meant to those people. But this is all starting to get to me because it's affecting Laura. I can't say I love her in front of these people. I can't even hug her and Anna's sister gets all moody. Her best friend stopped speaking to Laura. They were also friends. Anna's mom even came to us at Thomas's birthday party last week and asked us to stop dancing to respect her grief. She also contacted my mom and Laura's parents to say that she was incredibly disappointed that I proposed to Laura so soon, saying that we are moving too fast. It's been 4 years, even if she wasn't a cheater, more than enough time has passed. I'm just over it and I'm seriously considering telling all of them what happened, just to get the weight off my back. AITA if I did this? Story 2. AITA for leaving my girlfriend stranded in another state for cheating. Went on a vacation with my girlfriend of 5 years down to Tennessee from Michigan on winter break. My girlfriend grew up in Tennessee until her family moved up to Michigan when she was 12. It was a big reason I had a crush on her when we were teens because I thought her accent was very cute. Her and I both go to the same college and we met in middle school when I wouldn't stop bugging her in class. We drove down to Tennessee in my car and we're planning to stay down there from the 2nd to the 7th. We have our classes begin again on the 10th. Anyways, we were having a great time. We visited a bunch of the awesome sites in Tennessee and she showed me the town her family lived in before she moved. We were staying in a hotel on the 5th and while she was sleeping I noticed some guy kept Snapchatting her. I was like, WTF, who even is this? And so I took a photo of her arm saying, yeah, what's up? He replied saying he was thinking of her and asking when she was getting back. I messaged him saying the 10th and asked him what he wanted to do when she gets back. He said he had a few ideas and a winky face. I asked him for revealing photos to make sure he was definitely already doing stuff with her and he sent them almost immediately and asked if he'd be seeing hers. I was so livid and woke her up freaking the fuck out on her. She was shocked and denied at first but she eventually admitted they were talking but never hooked up. I told her we were done and I started crying and freaking out. I told her I was gonna sleep in the car so we wouldn't get kicked out for a noise complaint and I left the room. When I got in my car after a good hour of thinking and ignoring her texts and calls I decided fuck it, I'm going home. I didn't care about my suitcase or clothes, I just started driving home. I blocked my now ex's number and drove through the night. I woke up the next morning to my ex's mom calling me freaking out about how I left her halfway across the country and how it didn't matter what she did. It's criminal negligence to leave a girl alone in that state. Well, her parents ended up driving all the way down to get her and now my ex came up to my house today and told me they were going to try to file a criminal case against me and if not that sue me for damages. I don't think I owed her a drive home. It was my car, my gas, and she cheated on me. Can I get in trouble from this? What I've read could be possible if I left her in a dangerous situation but I left her in a hotel. Story 3. AITA for abandoning my family after I found my wife's cheating and being knocked out by my son after I confronted her. I'm a 49-year-old male, and I just wanted to share my story somewhere, and found that this is a popular platform to do it. So, here I am. Reading some of the things other people went through has also helped me open up here. I've been away from civilization for a while, so this is the first time I'm writing something other people would read, so I apologize in advance if the presentation isn't perfect or if things aren't in perfect chronological order. I started writing this post 3 times in the last few days, but my pent-up emotions got the better of me. But here I am, finally deciding to do it as this is possibly the only closure I can hope for. So, it has been a bit over 2 years since I abandoned my family over something that I never thought would happen. I found out that my wife, I'm not even sure if I should call her that, but I'll stick with that for ease of writing, of 22 years, at the time of the incident, had been cheating on me for at least a year. We have 2 kids together, a son and a daughter, 22 and 18. My wife and I were both working, and in the initial years of my fatherhood, it was hard for me to spend more time with the kids, as I worked 12 to 16 hours a day to buy our own house as soon as possible. My wife was an amazing mother and quit her job for the formative years of our son, and then we had our daughter, when we could sort the down payment for a house and moved in. I could spend more time with the kids, as I started to work less, and my wife started working again. I trained my son to be a strong dude, started training him in wrestling and boxing since he was 6, and eventually even kickboxing. I even supported him to go to Thailand for his winter break when he was 15, and have some Muay Thai training, which he was desperate for at the time. I've always been a little tough, strict with my kids, as their mother was the more lenient parent, and I wanted to make sure they grow up to be people with ethics, values and principles. I thought we were a great family unit, and my wife would constantly tell me how we were a great family and she loved me so much. The whole sweet family thing started to change during the pandemic. As we spent more time together, the more I realized my wife was being secretive, mostly when using her phone and sometimes her laptop. In our 20 years together, this was the first time this happened. We had access to each other's everything, and this behavior wasn't normal for her. I asked her a few times but she just dismissed me casually. I started getting more anxious about this, and remembered I had all her accounts, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., on my devices too, and I decided to snoop for some evidence, but nothing. It was strange, until I saw her laptop one day, when she left it unattended during work hours to pick up some meds for our daughter who caught a cold and we were being extra careful because of the whole COVID thing. But anyway, I went through her Slack, the messaging app for Workspace, which seemed normal until I saw what left a permanent scar on me. It was an extremely flirtatious chat with one of the people she worked with. I was livid. I can't describe the things I felt, from rage to sadness, everything on the negative emotion spectrum, all at once. I quickly took some pictures of it with my phone, making sure the text was really clear, and showed both their names. They were making plans to have calls late at night, after I fell asleep, and some things I don't really want to talk about in detail. Yeah, it was very sexual in some parts of the conversation. I left her laptop the way it was before, and spent the next few days thinking what I was supposed to do with this. It started to make sense how she basically stopped initiating any intimacy, didn't really take my advances too well and told me, not right now, or not today almost every time I tried, and I just thought it was something normal after so long being together. But that day when I saw her chats, it made sense. I collected more evidence of her cheating, and compiled it, waiting to see if she would ever come out to me about it, but no. I started sleeping in a different room. My kids looked at me like I was ignoring their mother, which really upset my son, but we were still getting by fine. Or so I thought. I hated myself for still loving this woman, but I couldn't bear the thought of being intimate or even friendly with her. I stayed quiet for the next few months, and approached a divorce lawyer and presented the evidence. He said it will be a walk in the park, as we had the evidence and she wouldn't get anything from the marriage, which is when I realized, I bought the house in her name. That's how much I love this woman. My lawyer told me not to worry, and not take any impulsive decisions before we figure this situation out. I couldn't even cry. I couldn't be angry. I couldn't be upset. I was just numb. I spoke to her father about this, as he and I were really close, and he couldn't believe his daughter would do that. I told him I understood, but sent him the evidence, which led to him calling me back and crying, saying sorry to me for how his daughter did this to me. Frankly, it hurt to hear the man cry, and I told him I had nothing against him, and still respect and love him the same. He pushed me to confront her about it, and said that he wouldn't accept her as his daughter if she didn't come clean on this. So, I prepared myself for the drama that would ensue, but I stopped myself from confronting her just yet, and wanted to see how people had dealt with situations before, which is when I first discovered this side of Reddit. A lot of things crossed my mind: revenge, defamation, and heck, even murder. I realized that this wasn't really helping, cause I was not in my best mental state at the time, and decided to just confront her. She was in denial, until I showed her a copy of the evidence that I had. She went silent. I screamed at her, and called her a lying whore, which our son heard, and came running to the room we were in. I told my son to get out, and this was not his place to be in right now, but he refused. Yes, our kids still lived with us as it was the best thing to do to save money for their future. I had stashed up a good chunk of money for each of them, but they didn't know that. But anyway, my son didn't want to leave his mother alone with me cause I looked really angry, and couldn't trust what could happen next if things got out of control. I told him he is just being unnecessarily concerned for his mother's physical safety. I had never once raised my hands on her. Things got a bit heated up with my son, when my wife yelled at me to stop, and I told her to shut her lying face hole, and at that moment, my son snapped. Last thing I remember was him pouncing on me, and punching my face. I came to my senses later. My wife was holding me, in a way she never did in the last year or so. I could see that she was hurt, and crying. I couldn't believe that that just happened. It was my son. She was just crying like a baby, non-stop, saying that she was sorry and how she failed as not just a wife but also a mother and so on. I was just numb at this point. I looked up and saw my daughter, also crying. I wanted to see where my son was. He wasn't around. My wife told me that she had slapped him and told him to get out of the house before she called the cops on him. This was all just like a fever dream. That night, my wife cuddled me to bed and sobbed to sleep. I couldn't. No matter how much I tried to distract myself, I simply couldn't. I had failed as a husband and a father. I don't really have a big family on my side, and I wasn't sure if I should take this story to any of my family or friends. I was never the very social type, and thought it isn't right to bring my shit onto their plate. It was late at around 1 a.m., I heard the door, and it was my son, who came back home. I couldn't really confront him anymore, as even the slightest thought of him reminds of my failure as a father. I slipped out of my wife's embrace, and wrote a note for her, telling about the funds I had saved up and invested in for the kids, left my car keys, my set of the house keys and my phone along with the note, on the side table on her side of the bed. I mentioned in the note to just forget I ever existed, just like she did when she was getting freaky with another guy, and my son didn't really consider me a father anyway, so I was already dead to him. The only person I feel sorry and bad for is my daughter. She is the sweetest human I know, and I know it's not right to abandon her when she's done nothing wrong. But I just wasn't myself anymore. I took nothing but my hunting knife, flint and my Swiss Army knife, and walked out of the house. I remember my son's shoes being very out of place, which told me he was probably very drunk. I just walked for the next few weeks. Some people were kind enough to offer some food and water, Slept on the streets for a few days, helped an elderly couple mow their lawn in exchange to sleep on their porch, making friends with a group of homeless people and having rap battles with them, to eventually hitching a ride into a national park. I just walked into the forest as deep as I could, until I found a stream of water. I made myself a small cabin, which took a lot of time and effort, but I'm proud of what I designed and built. It's been a year of living alone in that cabin, and I decided to take a walk into civilization again. It's the first time I'm seeing other humans again, and boy, was it a very emotional experience. I got in touch with my childhood buddy, thanks to a kind stranger letting me borrow their phone for a call, and my memory for not failing me and still remembering his number. I remembered the things I did together with this man, and why I called him brother. We reconnected and he drove over 6 hours to pick me up, got me a phone and some new clothes. This motherfucker could lift my spirit with just one line. You look like shit, but you look better. 'Cause I look bad, but managed to get into the best shape of my life, living a life of foraging in the forest. He took me to his house, where I am now, but he wants me to connect with my family and how they've been looking for me this whole time, filed a missing complaint, etc. My wife is a mess and my kids are supporting her financially. I wonder if it wasn't easy to just go and marry the guy she was having an affair with. I wonder if it's not nice to never have to see the person that you punched for harassing your mother, supposedly. I wonder if it's not easy to just forget I ever existed when they don't love me anymore. So AITA? Story 4. AITA for ghosting my girlfriend's daughter after my girlfriend cheated on me. I, male, 26, was in a relationship with my girlfriend, female, 26, for 6 years. I was engaged to her and our marriage was scheduled in a few months' time. My girlfriend had a daughter at a really young age. Her ex left the state immediately after he heard she got pregnant. When I started dating my girlfriend, her daughter was 2. Over the past 6 years, I have pretty much considered her my own daughter, and treated her as such. I had plans to legally become her stepfather after marriage. I love my daughter so much. However, a couple of months ago, my girlfriend confessed she had been having an affair after I saw her texts from her coworker. The texts were so outrageous that she really couldn't lie about the affair. She said she had been having an affair for a few months. I obviously canceled the engagement and the wedding, and moved out a week later. My girlfriend's daughter was a bit confused, and it hurt me, but I really did not want to be around my girlfriend anymore. I have now completely cut off contact with both my girlfriend and her daughter. My girlfriend does still text me frequently and is asking me to reconsider at least maintaining a relationship with her daughter temporarily, because her daughter has constantly been asking where is dad, and even been crying a lot. This does hurt me a lot, and I really wanted to maintain a relationship with my girlfriend's daughter, but the issue is that if I do go over to their house, I will have to see my girlfriend's face, and I just can't stand to see her face anymore. I am trying to leave it all behind, and already started going on new dates. The guilt of not giving my ex's daughter closure was eating me up, and the comments agreed that she would probably get trauma issues in the future if she didn't get closure. So even though I didn't want to communicate with my ex ever again, I did it one final time to give her daughter closure. I texted my ex this morning and asked her if she could drop her daughter off at a neutral location in the evening so I could spend a few hours with her and give her proper closure. My ex agreed, and in the evening, she dropped her daughter off to me. Her daughter was really happy and emotional when she saw me, and we spent the next few hours doing a bunch of fun stuff. After a few hours, as her mom was on her way to pick her up, I told her that this would be the last time she would ever see me, and it was not her fault at all. She broke down in tears, and kept asking why, and begged me to never leave. I lied and told her I had to move to a different country, and would never come back. I told her if she wanted to make me happy, she had to be good to her mom. I gave her a stuffed dog toy, and also a letter. She was really emotional and cried a lot at the end, especially when her mom came to finally pick her up. I said my goodbyes, and told her I would always remember her. And that is probably my final update. Today was really heart-wrenching, especially seeing my ex's daughter crying like that, but I hope this gives her the closure she needs, and that she understands it was not her fault. As for me, I will carry on with my life as usual, although right now, I'm feeling extremely hurt and devastated. I have a nice job offer in another state which I will probably accept. A change in scenery will also probably be good for me and my mental health. Story 5. AITA for telling my dad's wife I don't care that he's cheated on her at least 10 times now? My dad cheated on my mom when I was 4. The reason I know this is because my dad's affair partner, now wife, is a messy person, and not only is she willing to be the other woman, but she stayed with my dad even though he's cheated on her 10 times that she knows about. My sister, 19, and I never liked dad's relationship with his wife, and we never respected or liked her as a person either. We don't even like him. The only reason I still see him is because a judge said I had to and threatened to make my mom pay money to the courts every time if I refused to see him, and I don't want to do that to her. So I go to their house and try to stay out of the house as much as possible. When we were younger, this woman did try to be a second mom to me and my sister, and we disrespected her to her face every time she tried. Even when she and my dad had kids together, we didn't see her any differently. To us, she was always the person who was half the reason our parents' marriage ended and dad was the other half. I know people don't like to blame the other woman, but she admits she knew. When we were younger, the reason we knew so much about it is because this woman would break down and cry because mom wouldn't speak to her. And she went on rambling fits about how mom was being unfair and she should understand that this woman and dad were soulmates, and yes, she knew dad was married but they had to be together and mom should be compassionate. She also had crying fits about us not liking her and how we shouldn't judge people for sleeping with married men or women because they're real people with real feelings and nobody knows what it's like. A few weeks ago, she had another breakdown in front of me and asked why I never support her when another of dad's affairs is found out. She told me dad cheated while she was having her last kid, and I told her I know, and she cried even harder and asked why I never supported her and did I know he cheated again last month. I told her I don't care. I said he's repulsive but so is she, and I don't care if he cheats on her every day for the rest of their lives because she's nothing to me. She broke down and tried to talk about all the times he cheated, and I told her that I don't care, that it's been at least 10 times. She started yelling at me and I walked away, but since that day, when my dad's week comes, she's whining whenever I'm nearby and trying to talk me into treating her better. And complaining because my sister blocked her when she tried to talk to her. Which came after my sister laughed at her while she was crying on the phone to her. So AITA? Story 6. AITA for asking my wife for a paternity test because she cheated years back. Me, 32. And my wife, 30, have been married for 8 years now. 3 years ago, she cheated with a friend of hers. And after some time, we managed to reconcile. She found out she was pregnant a few days ago. And while my initial reaction was happiness, then the thought that it could be someone else's crawled into my mind. The thought, she's done it before, popped into my head. When I asked her to take a test, and explained my reasoning, we had a huge fight. She said that I shouldn't hold that against her after all the work we've done to repair the relationship. I still feel strongly about having a paternity test. Some things to clear up: after my wife cheated, we have been in counseling, and it's been a hard road for both of us, but we managed to build something new, so to speak. Also, we weren't actively trying for a baby. We didn't do things such as tracking her ovulation, but we mostly had sex regularly without protection. It's been like this for the past 6 months. And no, we don't have any STDs. We both wanted kids, but since she cheated on me, that wasn't something we thought we should do for a while, at least not before we reconciled. Also, I tried to be as tactful when I brought up the paternity test, but I think tactfulness can only go so far when essentially accusing your wife of potentially cheating on you. It went like this. Honey, we need to talk about the baby. What's wrong? Look, I need some reassurance. I love you, but I just can't shake this thought off my head. What thought? I'm worried that it's not mine. After that, things got louder, and we had a fight. Update. After our fight, I slept in the other room, and we didn't really talk for a while. We waved goodbye when we went to work, and had small talk about our days, but didn't really address what we fought about. She eventually came to me and apologized for her reaction. She says she understands why I asked her for a paternity test, and she got mad because she thought the whole cheating thing was over, and we wouldn't need to ever bring it up again. She said she was mad because this made her realize that this is something that will always be a part of our relationship's history. And it reminded her of how much of an effect this had on me, and how much she hurt me. She told me she was mad at herself. She says she hates the fact she gave me a good reason to ask for it. We simply hugged it out after that. She agreed to take a paternity test, but from some research we made, it seems to be a bit early for one, but we'll schedule a doctor visit and see what we can do. I'll be honest, I think the paternity test is just a formality now, but I still want it for my own peace of mind. I do love my wife, and want us to start building our family. I do thank you all for your responses. Story 7, AITA for laughing in my husband's face after I found out he cheated on me with a woman who said, "I got food you people like," when she bought him Chipotle. I'm sorry, I had to make an account just to post this, because if I don't laugh I'll cry, and I've genuinely been in tears over this. It's like an out-of-body experience, I swear. Anyways, female, 27. Husband is 28, AP is 30, female. Husband and AP are co-workers. I've known about her for some time. He's always telling me about ignorant shit she does. Like her calling him culo instead of chulo. Cannot make this shit up. Using papi all the time and just making stereotypical comments. They don't talk a lot, but enough for me to hear some shit basically. Anyway, when husband was on his lunch break, AP came up to his desk with food. And said the phrase in the title. Although it was slightly longer. I got all of these foods people like you should like. Again, mind you, this was Chipotle, a bag of tortilla chips and some dip. The most insane thing ever. I've been telling him to report it to HR for a while now, because at the very least it deals like some microaggression shit. Well anyway, I found out on the weekend that him and this AP he's so embarrassed about have been fucking for a week. Yeah, never been more embarrassed for someone else in my life. No clue how he stooped so low, but here we are. That's it LMAO, I just had to tell someone other than people in my life. For some extra stuff, my husband is soon to be ex, he's kicked out and with her, I'm going to file for divorce but we have a son together so it complicated things. I'm on mobile so apologies if there's any mistakes. Edit, just adding something as I'm seeing a couple of comments about it, not sure if it's bad or worse but I can confirm that those scenarios he told me did happen, because I witnessed some of them myself. Or at the very least some did happen. The culo thing was told by my soon-to-be ex, but her calling him Poppy, and the food thing was witnessed by me. Definitely booking in for a test soon. Trust me, first on my to-do list. I doubt if it's only been going on for a week, but who cares? It could have only been one time for all I care, same thing. Another thing to add, AP's husband was kicked out so my soon-to-be ex could move in, and I've been in contact with him, just to get a little timeline. Story 8. Girlfriend's behavior while out of town and with a friend seems really shady. What do you think? Part 1. My girlfriend, 48, and I, male, 49, have been together for 5 months. It's been the best relationship of my life. I honestly thought we had a solid future together, but I'm reconsidering after something she did this week, as well as her response to me being upset. A few weeks ago, she asked how I felt about her and a recently divorced, younger male coworker going out for drinks after their shift. I told her that, if I'm being honest, I don't feel too great about it and it kind of feels like she's asking to go out on a date with someone. I asked her how she'd feel if I went to get drinks alone with another woman and she said it would make her feel uncomfortable too. Before I said anything more, she said that she just wouldn't go out because she wouldn't want to cause me any angst. I honestly have mixed feelings about this kind of thing. I trust her as much as I trust anyone, but frankly, I trusted several other partners and every damn one of them cheated. I don't like the idea of preventing her from socializing, but I hate the idea of her doing anything that resembles a date. I honestly don't know if men and women can just be friends. A cursory review of the internet literature shows a real mix of opinions. Several blissful weeks pass and she tells me she's got to go out of town for work. The night before she left, I asked her what her plans for the week were and she very casually mentioned that she reached out to a male friend to see if he wanted to get drinks, but he said he was busy. I was honestly shocked that the prior discussion didn't seem to be taken into consideration at all and how she'd expect that it would be not okay when she's in town but perfectly fine when she's hundreds of miles away. I didn't say anything because she said it wasn't happening, though I probably should have said something. As a side note, I'm bipolar. My reactions can be crazy. As a way to prevent myself from saying or doing things I don't actually want to say or do, I pause. This has been a very successful strategy for managing impulsive and emotional outbursts. After she finished the workday on her second day there, she called me to tell me she had reached out to another male friend and was on her way to get drinks with him. Again, I was kind of blown away. I also opted to not put up any fight about it. Part of me said to just trust her. Part of me said that if she wants to cheat, she'll cheat, so what's me throwing a fit about her getting drinks going to accomplish? Truthfully, I kind of just wanted to see how it would play out. I made a single comment. Does he know you have a boyfriend you're madly in love with? She said he does, then said she wouldn't want to get with him because he lives so far away. Am I tripping, or is that not remotely reassuring? I wished her a good evening and told her I'd be expecting our nightly FaceTime call. She texted me random small things over the course of the evening, then finally called me at 11:30, which is an hour and a half later than when it was too late for us to talk on the phone the night prior, and was absolutely wasted-ass drunk. Her first words were, "I'm just calling to make sure we're okay." I asked why we wouldn't be and she said it was because she knew I had potential issues with her going out for drinks with other men. This alone is crazy, right? If she knew it was a problem, why not ask before instead of after? If she thought it would upset me, why do it? I told her I found it extremely distressing that she had apparently gotten blasted drunk and she started telling me how she only had 3 beers and has no clue how she got that drunk. We drink together all of the time. She is not a lightweight. I honestly don't believe it was only 3, or she was roofied. I told her I found the whole thing upsetting and she started talking about how I should trust her because I'm borrowing her car, because mine broke down taking her to the airport. I told her that I felt manipulative and that this whole conversation felt weird. It honestly felt like she had excuses and deflections prepared and didn't have the sense to slowly deploy them when appropriate. At one point she claimed she tried to call me but figured I blocked her, then accused me of blocking her in the past and started crying. I told her that never happened and that she was just making stuff up, and the tears stopped immediately. At this point, I was disgusted and hung up. 10 minutes later tried to call back, but she didn't answer. Then she claimed she was calling me, yet my phone never rang. She claims to have called over and over but my phone didn't ring. I called twice and she says her phone never rang. This is bullshit, right? Moving along, I told her I found her behavior disturbing. She said she had to sleep. The next day I asked her to explain how she got so drunk and she sent me a text of a conversation with her and her friend. In said text, her friend mentions that they had 3 beers and were there for an hour and a half. She mimicked back the 1.5-hour comment to him. Now I know Reddit frowns upon watching location, so call me a paranoid creep or whatever if you want, but we share location and I was watching. Her phone was at that location for 3+ hours. When I asked about the discrepancy, not mentioning that I was watching the location, she told me that they had to drive there and back, half an hour each way. And this is where I lost it. Being the creeper that I am, I already knew the distance to her hotel from that location and it was literally 5 minutes. This woman is worldly, travels, is punctual AF, and knows how to use maps/GPS. Surely this place was picked due to its proximity to the hotel. There is no chance she really thought it took 6 times longer than it did, right? They were fucking or something awful, right? Anyway, there's more details but I'm emotionally fucking drained. I feel like she showed several glaring red flags and I want to break up. I also might be paranoid as a result of terrible past partners and mental health issues. What do you guys and gals think? Part 2. I'm heartbroken. There's been no concrete proof that anything happened that night, but the preponderance of evidence sure makes her seem untrustworthy. In no particular order. 1. She stated several times that she was way more drunk than she should be after just 3 beers. I said it sounds like she either had more than 3 or she was roofied. She entertained this theory and told me she'd do anything to prove she didn't do anything shady. I told her a positive test result clears all of this up immediately and to go get tested. I'm sure it will come as no surprise that this didn't ever actually take place. Her claim morphed slowly from thinking it was a real possibility to knowing it wasn't one bit. Why offer to go get tested? I guess she didn't think I'd take her up on that. 2. I looked at her phone's deleted messages folder. It had a shitload of deleted messages from lots of people. One of whom was an ex. I asked about the 80+ deleted messages and she said, I didn't delete any messages. That's weird. Fucking embarrassing, right? Who did? A ghost? Siri? It took 20 minutes to convince her this was not a line of explanation that would work on me. Apparently they were old messages from before us, that she just so happened to delete within the last few weeks. Why? Why now? Who knows? Wait, I have a theory. 3. I read her messages with her female friends. According to her and her 2 friends, I'm a narcissist that is playing mind games and only put this on Reddit because I need validation from other crazy people. The 3 of them in no way treated my feelings as valid or acknowledged that they might find similar behaviors from their partners upsetting. This was entirely me being a psycho. Who needs to be blocked and ghosted immediately? Never mind 6 months and that her daughter told her mom I'm more of a father to her than her dad. Never mind that my son told her he loved her. Who exactly is the narcissist in all of this? She says I need to mention to y'all that I called her trashy, a liar, proven, a cheater, speculative, and said she's a lot like my terrible ex, which it kind of feels like she is. Nevertheless, maybe I was out of line, she says. 4. She claimed a specific date just recently, prior to our relationship's official start, as when she stopped seeing anyone else because she knew I was the one. This turned out to be false. She claims it was an oversight. 5. Her lovely friends convinced her, she claims, mid-fight, to turn off her location tracking. This seems like a pretty shitty thing to do when your partner is already freaked out about your whereabouts. Why would this be the right move? Just kidding. Of course it was a terrible choice. It should be noted that I turned mine off, but that was for the purpose of ambushing her at the airport and preventing her from deleting the evidence. 6. She shared this drama with her male friend that she used to date and with her ex-husband who she claims to hate. This feels gross to me, but could be a legit attempt at male insight. I'm told they think I'm crazy too. Frankly, I confidently call bullshit on everyone and say they'd all be fucking livid in my shoes. Any thoughts on why these shitheads would rather split us up than tell her she was shitty to get wasted with someone when your partner said it would bother them? It's not just exes trying to fuck her. Though some may be. She has apologized profusely and I genuinely believe she's sorry. I also don't believe she cheated. I think she disrespected us as a couple several times over though. I think she clearly doesn't respect me, at least enough to make my happiness a priority over the fun of drinks with a colleague. What's sad is we were legit head over heels happy and in love just weeks ago. It was perfect. There was no drama. I trusted her and planned on moving in and probably getting married. I love her. I love her kids. It was so fucking good. I genuinely don't think she'll make the same mistakes again, but is that enough? What if she didn't? Should I try just one more time? We're supposed to talk tomorrow. So, got any zingers you want me to share? Any profound wisdom? Funny ways to end this? For what it's worth, I'd like to be proven wrong and convinced she's not terrible. I believe if she could undo this, she would. I also believe if she knew this would happen, she wouldn't have done it. And lastly, again, I believe that she won't make those same mistakes. Details that didn't make the first post that might matter. We did talk by phone that night twice. We never FaceTimed though. I accused her of maybe faking calls by hitting the dial and showing an outbound call, but hanging up immediately. She debunked this, so I believe it's possible she really was calling and it wasn't ringing on my end. P.S. At least one of her disingenuous friends is listening in. Have fun with that. Story 9, AITA for putting my pregnant girlfriend out. I, male, 22, and my girlfriend, 19, recently moved into an apartment a week ago. Before then I was on my own and she lived with her mom. To preface everything, we have had several issues in the past about how she recklessly spends her money left and right on dumb things or things she doesn't need when she knew we planned on eventually living together and so should have been saving up for it like I had been. Things came to a head when she lost her job 2 months ago and was content to just go to her parents or me for money on a daily basis until I had to literally force her to go to a job, go to the interview, follow up with her recruiter and pester them about the status until she eventually got the job. Yes, I had to actively force her to do every step of the job acquisition process because she would just sleep all day at her mom's place. To skip ahead on things, when I was approved for my apartment, I opted to not include her on the lease because I had a feeling she would return to her old ways of laziness and I didn't want to be contractually obligated to let her stay with me. Well, lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. To start, she missed 3 of her overnight shifts. She's a floater or something at a security company, because she overslept in the bedroom instead of getting up on time. Second, a few days ago I asked her to get the mail since the first month's bills should be in there. I'm a truck driver so was out of state at this point, and she said she would. Well, what I have to mention is we have each other's location on Find My and Life 360. 4 hours after I initially asked her to get the mail, she was at her mom's place the entire time, meaning she actively chose to drive past the mailbox in favor of doing whatever it was she was doing over there for hours. I confronted her about this and she was full of excuses. The last straw for me was when I was coming back home from being over the road for days and asked her to cook at 5 p.m., so I wouldn't have to wait on anything. She said she didn't want to because she wanted the food to be fresh for me, and I told her, bump that, do what I asked, how are you gonna dictate what I want? So I get home around 10 p.m. And guess what? No food was made. She started cooking when she saw I was an hour away. Let me also add that I'm not making her pay any bills or anything while she lives with me. I only required that she give me $200 a month to cover the resources she'll use while she's there and that she actively holds a job with a regular shift so she doesn't sleep or bullshit all damn day. But at this point I've just accepted that she's a lazy puss, so I told her she needs to contact her mom or dad and move back in with them because I'm not dealing with it anymore. We had these issues before I got the place and I warned her multiple times I'm not dealing with it. Update. So my AITA post got a lot more heat and eyes than I thought it would, and people have dimmed me with all sorts of pleasantries about how they feel about me based on a very tiny snippet of what I shared. So I'll try to clear the waters. 1. No, she was not lazy like she is now before she got pregnant. She was a full-time manager at a fast food job. She quit because they stopped giving her hours after some work drama or something. 2. No, I don't hate my girlfriend. I hate how she chooses to not do what I ask her to even when I'm tried everything in my power to enable and uplift her by helping her get a job, a place away from her parents, begrudgingly, and relative financial comfort since she pays 0 bills. She couldn't even if I ask her to. She doesn't fucking work. 3. Yes, I have admitted on other posts that I know I'm manipulative and hard to be with. I can't change that about myself. I draw in women who are attracted to that energy. Blame society and not me. And guess what? She's still fucking with me even after I treat her like shit. I can't control that. 4. I'm not afraid of child support. I grew up in a single-parent household and saw what happens when a bitter mother keeps a child from their father or vice versa. I don't want that for a child I didn't even want in the first place, so that's why I have been enabling this chick and all her bad habits so she doesn't do that shit to me or the kid. 5. For all the people bringing up my passport bros, leaning philosophy, who gives an honest fuck? Seriously. Y'all seriously overlooked an entire essay of her being lazy, unsupportive and unproductive to try and shame me because I want a woman who isn't a bum. Weird as shit. 6. The issue wasn't that she didn't cook for me when I wanted her to. It was the fact that I'm giving her all this space, a place to stay rent-free, financial support and emotional support, and the chick can't even make me a meal when I ask her to, or get the mail when I ask her to, when she knows I'm doing what I can for her in spite of me not even wanting to be with her or have this baby. Story 10. My ex was living a double life. I was 19 and started working at a popular retail store. While I was there, I met a guy named Derek, who also started working there. I was pretty vulnerable because I had come from a previous breakup, so I definitely rushed into this relationship. Fast forward 3 years, and we are still together. It's been very turbulent and up and down, but I'm a very loyal person, and I really thought we would get married. Throughout our time working together, he had friendships with other female coworkers. I was okay with it because I was friends with the girls, too, and it was more of a brother and sister dynamic. However, there was this girl named Samantha who seemed as if he liked her and was really flirty with her. However, Samantha had a boyfriend, so although it bothered me, I tried my best to overlook it since she was in a relationship. But it seemed like they were getting closer, and one time, he slipped up and said she was attractive to him. He said she listens and understands him, and that's why he talks to her so much. I found out he took her to the movies, and I cursed him out and told him to stop talking to her and that it was disrespectful. He painted it in a way where it was supposed to be a group movie hanging out with other people, but they all canceled, and it ended up being just them, which is BS. He said that he had stopped talking to her, and I noticed they no longer interacted at work too, so I let it rest. She knew I disliked their friendship, so she felt it was best to stay away to avoid drama. Fast forward a year, and some change later, I quit that retail job and now work from home for a different company. However, I still have a lot of friends from my old retail job. My friend Taylor was hosting a birthday dinner, but this was during COVID-19 times, and my mother was at high risk because she had a lung disease, so I tried my best not to go out and potentially bring back germs. I didn't attend the dinner, so I stayed home. My friends were all co-workers at the retail store where we worked. Since most of us are friends outside of work, pretty much everyone invited worked at our store. My friend Serena attended the dinner and was talking to another coworker, Stephanie. I don't remember how this came up, but they started talking about Samantha, and Stephanie says Samantha told her she's dating Derek now. Keep in mind that Samantha also quit her retail job, so she doesn't work there either. However, Derek still works there. Serena says it's impossible for Samantha to be dating Derek because Derek is dating me. Stephanie then pulls up her Snapchat convo with Samantha, where she's talking about how happy she is with Derek, and says that's her boyfriend and that I must be mistaken because he's with her and not me. Serena takes out her phone and takes a photo of the Snapchat convoy between Samantha and Stephanie. Serena and I were close, so she texted me privately, told me what happened, and sent the screenshots. I thanked her for letting me know and immediately called Derek to meet and talk. I didn't want to tell him why I wanted to meet up because I didn't want to give him time to come up with a lie or avoid seeing me. I also messaged Samantha on IG and told her to text me. Derek is at work unresponsive, and during this time, Samantha and I chat and uncover his lies. I found out they had been dating for about 10 months and had been in communication for 11 months. I found out there were times he was hanging out with her and was ignoring me. He was introducing her to friends and family, trifling AF because they knew me too, so they knew he was cheating and played along. He lied and told her we broke up for good. He was talking to her about moving in and being with her, and having unprotected sex with us both. Several instances where he had sex with her one day and then sex with me the next day. Just for some backstory, as I mentioned, it was turbulent, so we had broken up 10 months prior. I initiated it because he was lazy in the relationship. Still, we got back together shortly after and stayed in communication continuously. She even told me around the time I was suspicious of her that he cheated on me with someone else. She says a girl came up to him one day outside of the job and kissed him, and she threatened to expose him but never did. While Samantha and I are exchanging stories and timelines, Derek finally calls me back. He refuses to meet me face to face, coward because he knows he will get cursed out. He admits to everything and says he wanted to end the relationship with me because it felt stagnant. For clarity, he was mad that I couldn't move in with him because I take care of my mom. As I said before, she had a lung disease so she couldn't work. She was also older and undocumented. He says he didn't know how to tell me he had genuine feelings for Samantha, but he does care about me. I lost it, of course. I left work early and sobbed, and a big part of me felt sad and betrayed. Derek refused to meet up with me, but he met with Samantha. She told me she was going to be done with him, and I told her the same thing. Fast forward months later, me and Derek end up working on our relationship. Yes, dumb, I know. I will say during this time, he was highly depressed because he got fired from his job and was acting suicidal, and I tried to support him during that time. It was COVID, so due to his unemployment, he moved back down to his hometown, Florida, to stay with his family. So now we are working on our relationship. It's also a long distance because of his move, and I also can't see him as much because of COVID and because my mom is high risk. In May 2021, my mom passed away from COVID-19 pneumonia. 3 months later, he broke up with me because he had a lot going on. It was a bullshit excuse, and I was confused and also grieving. On top of that, the entire time I was grieving, he wasn't very supportive or there for me. Even though we are broken up, we still talk and see each other here and there and have sex. I'm severely depressed because of my mom's passing and just living day by day but wishing I could disappear. Derek isn't around as much because he has now moved officially to Chicago. He even shows me pics of his app and shows up to my apartment one night with a birthday gift with a Chicago address on the box. He claims to have sent it, but it was being held by the post office. One night, I got a phone call at midnight from my best friend Taylor. She tells me how Serena saw Derek on Snapchat at a baby shower, but it looks like he's the baby daddy, and the baby shower is for him. I recognize the baby mother is another one of his ex-girlfriends who I previously had a back and forth with. I also heard that Samantha saw this and was hurt by it too, which means he has still been seeing Samantha almost 2 years later after he said he wasn't. So, of course, I blow his phone up, and he doesn't answer. I text Samantha, and she spills all the tea. She then tells me all the lies he has been telling her. She says she has kept it casual and in a sexual relationship with him because the trust got destroyed, and she starts telling me all these times he went to see her and how he didn't move to Chicago. He actually still lives in our city. We live in New York City. I am now furious because he's having a baby with an ex I previously had problems with, and he lied this entire time and was still sleeping with Samantha. Samantha gave me the address to his apartment and Taylor and I decided we would go over there since he wouldn't answer. Lol, keep in mind it's after midnight but we go and he doesn't answer. I see his name on the mailbox out front so I know he lives there and now cannot deny this. Turns out he lives there with the baby mama. We ended up leaving because it had really weird vibes, and we heard strange whispers. I realize he broke up with me in August because he had a baby on the way. It has nothing to do with wanting to better himself and him going through stuff. I talk more with Samantha over the next 2 days and she exposes a lot of things they did and I realize the times match up with times he says he wasn't in NYC or wasn't available to talk, and I realize he's lied a lot and is very manipulative. I ended up meeting up with him. I gave him all the cards he got me back because I didn't want to see them. He tried to lie about a lot of the stuff Samantha told me but I didn't believe him anymore. I told him we were done, but after linking I found out more lies from Samantha and confronted him. But of course he still lied via text and denied it, so I cursed him out and blocked him. He literally had a whole double life, dealing with 3 women. It was insane. I was so disgusted by him and I never got back with him, and it was the best decision ever. It's been almost 3 years now, and I am much happier. It's crazy because you see this stuff on TV and never think it will happen to you. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give a like, share it with someone, and subscribe for more stories that inspire, provoke, and connect us. Thank you.